Hi, everybody. Welcome to our webinar today. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. We see everyone coming in the door, and we're so grateful that you're here to spend some time with us today and learn a little bit about Change First and the digital transformation of organizational change management. I'm so happy that you guys are joining us today. I see you all coming in the door, so welcome, welcome. And from the past webinars, I'm seeing some returning visitors, so that's awesome because as you know, this is a webinar series. We have one of these at noon Eastern time every other month, and we are from here on out programmed into January already. So if you like what you see, you want to make sure that you come back to have a different topic in a couple of months from now. So this being July, our next one would be in September. So awesome. Very cool. All right, so I will tell you that over 200 folks signed up for today's webinar, and so we're just waiting for folks to come in the door. I know it is spot on noon right now on the East Coast of the United States, and so we're going to go ahead and just wait a few more minutes while people click the button and then make the phone call and what have you, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. I will orient you a little bit to what's going on today and to our guest speaker and a little bit about Change First, and then I will gladly turn over the controls and get off the camera here to our host today, which is Audra Proctor. So welcome, welcome. Hello to Raul and Melissa and Marcia and Bold and Laura, lots of Lauras, Joe, Jane, Ian, welcome, welcome, Elaine, David, Diana, Corinne, Ann, Alan, Wilhelm, Tim. Awesome. Thank you for being here today. I'm going to repeat myself, but I will let you know that if you go into the handouts here, there's a little handout. If you look on your control panel, wherever that happens to be on your screen, and you can go ahead and snag the slides that you were looking at the cover page for right now on your screen. You can go ahead and download those. Change First was so kind to make those available to us, so you guys can have that. To answer your questions, yes, today is being recorded. I know that 2 of you reached out to me already and said that you could be on for the majority of the presentation, but that you would have to drop off. So we are going to be recording this. We're recording right now. Haha. All right, so I have 12:01. We'll go ahead and give everyone 1.5 more minutes, and then we will launch into the presentation, which allows us to get to the most questions and answers we can at the end of the presentation. All right, so 39 friends have joined us so far. Very exciting. 40, excellent. I feel like almost I'm on the Jerry Lee Lewis telethon where I'm watching the money roll in at the end where he's crying because he's been up all night, and we're just looking for people to pledge $1 more. Very exciting.
Oh,
Is that where you're going to say something?
Yeah, this is Jeanette on the phone line. We have Stefania, hopefully I said that right. She's from Brazil, so we have people basically from all over the world that join us.
How exciting is that? That's amazing. So cool. That's what I love so much about CMI, is that it really is a global community. It's a global community of change practitioners, and so that's what makes me excited.
Yeah. So thanks for sharing that.
All right. A couple more folks joining. Awesome. So during the course of this, if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and put them in the chat, just like Stefania did from Brazil. And then we'll be able to get those answered. We're probably going to answer most questions at the end of the presentation, so we don't interrupt Audra's flow. But if you have something that's completely relevant, timely, or you just need an answer right then, we will absolutely try to get to it. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and start the formal portion of today's presentation without me sitting here chit-chatting and tap dancing for you. So my name is Melissa Sims. If you've been on any other webinars held during the afternoon, you've heard my voice or seen my face. I currently serve as CMI USA's Thought Leadership Co-Chair. I am joined today behind the scenes with Jeanette Konicki, who also works with us, and she is controlling all the levers. So pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. She's just the one making it all hum and sing for us. So She's the reason you can see my face and hear my voice. David Miller, who was originally scheduled to be with us today, could not join us this afternoon, unfortunately. But, lucky for us, we got Audra Proctor. Audra is the CEO of Change First, and she was generously willing to share her time and talents with us this afternoon in David's stead, and we are most grateful to her. A little bit about Change First, just so you guys can get that up front. It was established in 1995, and Change First has spent the last 25 years helping change leaders implement change successfully. And to give you some metrics, they have touched 30,000 people in 40 countries around the world. So as we're getting very excited that we have one person on the phone from Brazil, you can imagine how excited and just effervescent Change First feels on a daily basis. Audra, our presenter today, has been with Change First for 20 years, so almost as long as the company has been alive. She's held a variety of roles with Change First. She's been an associate partner. She was the Change of Learning. She was the global account manager. She was the director, and now, as I said, she is the CEO. She is absolutely leaning in. So there you go. We're excited to have her with us today. She is the principal author of Change First proprietary methodology and has been leading the development of their digital platforms for the past 5 years. She's a conference speaker, a blogger, a commentator on change management issues, and in 2016, she co-authored her first book, which is Enterprise Change Management with David Miller. Audra believes that sustainable change management is sustainable when people have the skills, processes, and tools they need to control and deliver the change agenda for themselves. And I would absolutely echo that. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get off camera, turn it over to Audra. And as I mentioned, go ahead and put your questions in the chat box here, and we will get to them at the very end of the presentation. Thank you so much, and welcome, Audra.
Thank you so much, Melissa, and welcome everyone. Thank you for taking the time. Hello, Stefania from Brazil. It's great that you're able to join us. I actually joined Change First. I was a client before I joined Change First about 20 years ago, and the mission has been the same for the last 20 years. You know, really, we help organizations by building an internal capability. That's what we want to do. We want to build an internal capability so that they can control and deliver on their own change agenda. And we have partner organizations around the world, and you know, in Brazil, in Singapore, in Australia, just to name a few. What we've done is we've taken our practical change management experience, we've researched, we've stress tested techniques and tools and actions in different situations and created this body of knowledge and methodology that Melissa referenced. It's called PCI, People-Centered Implementation, which Forrester Research recognized as one of the most used methodologies in the world. So it's great news for us. As Melissa said, you know, we've touched probably 30,000 plus people at the last count by training them to use PCI in some kind of role-based way. So in the last 2 decades, that's well over 300 organizations across 40 or more countries in the world. I think it's fair to say that we have been at the forefront of developing online tools and applications for more than 10 years. First, we rolled up a suite of about 10 or 11 spreadsheet tools online, such that we have built one of the world's largest change management databases. And I'm going to come back to that to show what that gives on our platform. We quickly followed with online demand, e-learning, and the first version of our planning engine. And in 2010, we began the journey to try to, create a closer tie between application and training by building processes which people would find easy to follow, to access, to repeat, and even to share across global organizations. Our latest digital platform is called Roadmap Pro. And I'll show you Roadmap Pro, but this is really the culmination of the work that we have been doing so far. Why? It's been an amazing time for us. It's been a substantial investment for us. And you might ask the question, why? Well, our reading of the environment 8 years ago was that pace, volume, complexity were accelerating. And yes, there are many drivers, but the one that seemed to get most attention is digital transformation. I guess it's forcing organizations to adapt rapidly, to be more agile, to think about how they can derive maximum value from new technologies inside the organization. But crucially, we saw a huge implication for businesses and units and areas within an organization when they come to implement changes to ways of working. When we need these ways of working to be changing so we're able to keep pace and get value from technologies, and then we have to deal with people along the way, and that's where there was the crunch point. So on a daily basis, we're talking with and meeting with change practitioners who are working really hard. Expert credibility and strong results are the norm, but it's often not enough. And so what they tell us it's not enough of them, and their expertise to go around. They need to get change champions up and running quickly across their businesses. They need to be able to scale quickly to deliver their services and support inside the organization. And what they're also telling us is that they lack the time and money to send people to workshops. And that was a big trigger for us, really. We believe that digitalization of OCM in the way that digitalization of other processes is the key to success here, because with the right solution, you can increase your reach. You can get learning and tools to where they are most needed quickly, on demand. You can place control in the hands of local and credible practitioners. Change tools, techniques and processes start to become, I guess, more impactful because they're being used by people at the coalface in local businesses, in local areas, in labs, in factories, in centers around the world. We think with the right solution, you can drive up engagement. We are involved in much more change management now than we were 10 years ago, but yet our engagement surveys show that we can even do more. So with the right solution, we can drive up engagement, we can drive up collaboration. People have the opportunity to commit more to what they have a hand in creating. And from our perspective, change is everybody's business. I just felt the need to say what it isn't. So we have a digital platform. It's a transformation toolkit. But of course, we need a person. Yeah, we need a great person who is credible and willing to challenge, able to influence. A great person doing great change agent work with access to the right tools to help with risk management, all the things we know, dialogue, conversation with leaders, and those important engagement interventions. What we're just saying is that the right digital platform will help you plan quickly for that and enable those people-centered activities to happen more collaboratively and effectively, ultimately. So that was what it isn't. What it is, our digital platform, we specially designed it to do the things that I'm trying to represent on this slide. We specially designed it to help you learn what you need to learn when you need it. So this whole idea of on demand, having proven techniques and tools on demand was really important to us, an integral part of our design. We designed the platform to give you a running start, to give practitioners a running start with fully loaded change plans, which make it easier to get going, which bring consistency faster, and which bring speed. We designed the platform to get you sharing and collaborating and planning with team members from different businesses and across the country and around the world from the get-go, because those are the challenges people are talking with us about. And, and we designed our digital platform Roadmap Pro to help you measure and track and make these things more transparent, to give you insights us that will be greater comparisons and benchmarks and provide great intelligence to leaders to make good change decisions. We had all these things in mind in the design of our application Roadmap Pro. I guess the final thing to say is, as we were designing it, it was very important for us to make sure that learning was available at all stages. And so, you know, we want global organizations to be able to train small groups and large groups in the most cost-effective way. And so this sort of digital subscription-based resource seems really powerful for us and crucial to success, given the environment in which we are operating. But you know, let me show you. I have some words around it. You know, I'm quite excited about this Roadmap Pro. We launched this version of our platform in December last year, and there's been real energy around Roadmap Pro between now and then. And I'd just like to show you what we have to offer for organizations and their practitioners. So what I'll do now is I'll switch screens and move over to the application. Okay, can I just check that you're now seeing a different screen to the slides we were looking at before?
Looks good, Audra.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just talk a little bit about Roadmap Pro. It's a cloud-based platform. We are hosting it on Amazon Web Services because it provides the highest level of security and data privacy, and that's been really important to us. It's a subscription-based model in terms of access, as I said before. And there's some features here that are really important to us. One that's very important is this idea that from the onset, you will have access to great learning and orientation, because we want this platform to be as intuitive as possible for the user to get started. And so I've just landed here on a welcome screen. So if you are new to change management or not so, you know, au fait with digital platforms, this welcome screen will give you 3 bits of important information. You know, what is Roadmap Pro? How you're going to use it? You know, some of the background to its development is important there. We then have a summary of all the features that are available to you. This is really necessary orientation, onboarding, and then we have an overview here of the methodology that underpins what we're going to show here. This methodology is kind of noticeable from this colored wheel here, and this is the one that I referenced as PCI, which stands for People-Centered Implementation. It's simple to create a plan, and we have a little green button here which says create new plan. And when I talk about creating a plan, I'm talking about a draft default plan that you want to reveal for a new project or a new work stream or a new phase within a project. And it is as simple as labeling that and entering a short description, which gets you into this list that we have here called My Plans. And you know what I have 4 plans on display here, because you know our reality is that we're probably working on a number of different things concurrently. We have pieces of work that are in different stages and phases. Some are in rollout, some are in aftercare. You know, maybe we're working as part of a larger program. We are dealing with the change work stream. But as practitioners subscribing to something here like Roadmap Pro, you're going to be having any number of projects or plans, default plans revealed, and you're working on them over the course of a subscription. Some other bits of menu here just before I go into a plan. I spoke about some inherent learning. We've peppered the system with learning on demand for orientation. And another place where you get that is in this area I have here called Roadmap Support. You know, I guess if I'm mindful of workshops, you know, I attend my workshop 3 months ago, and now I'm here ready to get started in my work, and I want to be reminded of the key features, what's available to me, what will I do. So what we've also done is taken all of our features and we keep adding to them. You know, we have a feature here which is about sharing a plan with others inside your organization. I'm creating it, I'm getting started, but I'm working with a global, as part of a global team. We have a feature here of transferring ownership for a plan. I've done my work, now I'm going to transfer it to someone else. I'm off, rolling off onto something else, and someone else is taking over. I'm off on leave, and so on. So I'm on holiday. We have a feature here which is about dashboarding, you know, transparency. What are the key bits of information I want to run and share with the project board, or so on. We have graphs, we have cloning. So all these little features are quick reminders, 1 minute. That's all we need to be reminded of what is available and what is it that I'm able to do. But what I want to do without more delay is to jump right into a plan to show you what we're trying to do to provide those benefits to users. So here's a plan, I've named it. It's called HR Digitalization, and I am dealing with the change work stream. It's a sample, it's an example. And so this is the first thing you see as a user. We have a simple screen here. It's a dashboard screen, and the idea is to provide a summary view of everything that's going on with my plan, with the work that I'm doing, with information that I'm gathering, the rationale for actions that I'm putting into a plan, the way that I'm tailoring my plan, etc. It is a dashboard for a particular change, and what it is not is a dashboard across a number of different projects. But these 3 items, and this is a clean screen, I just kind of gave you a starter screen. These 3 items are resident on every dashboard for a user. You will then fill your dashboard with other things, other bits of information that you choose to promote. Because at a particular time in your project, a bit of data might be important, but it might be a different data at the next control period. And so we press on. So we've started with something that we know we all need. So we need to kind of have a sense of our point of arrival. You know, I like to know the end point sometimes before I get started, and we start with some milestones. Now, these milestones, and I said it in the introduction, it's fully loaded. We've loaded a default plan in here because we want practitioners to be able to get started quickly, to be credible quickly with inside their businesses, with their teams, with their leaders. And so these milestones come from a plan, and I'll show you that shortly. And this is ticked because I've ticked it as part of this demonstration to say that this bit is completed and all the activity that is leading up to that milestone, I believe, has been done. We have another screen here, which is called upcoming tasks. And this is where we've chosen in the application to highlight the top 5 things or the next important things that are coming. And this one is red because it's overdue, because that's what I would need to see. I would need to know this one is behind, and when I'm reporting on it, there would be a reason why it's behind. There might be some kind of sticking point there. There might be some data that's driving the delay here, but I want to be able to report on that. Sharing is an important feature that we have derived here, and what we're trying to do is to make it as easy as possible for people to share information in their planning. And so what you'll see is me here. I'm the owner and I'm the key contributor to this plan. But it is absolutely, it is very easy to add people to my plan, to share this plan with someone so that they can see what's also going on. They can contribute to what's also going on. And it's as simple as pressing a button, add a person, and if this person is also on the platform, I can select from a list of people available here to include them in the planning process. And this is where I'm starting to build real engagement and collaboration for our planning activities. And how would you be doing this now? You'd be exporting this, you'd be sharing across, I don't know, SharePoint, I guess, or some way, email or something like of that nature. But what we're saying here is if we are all in the platform, there is consistency and there's stickiness and there is ease, because, you know, as simple as this, I can include Anthony. I would like Anthony. He is located elsewhere. I'd also like Anthony to be a contributor, and it's as simple as that. Anthony gets a little message in his email to say, you've been added to the plan. We're going to have a meeting soon, and he can contribute. So literally, he can go in and do all the things that I'll be showing you. But I might want to add another person who will just be a viewer. This, it might be the run up to a project meeting, and I just want the project lead to be able to see what I'm doing, to have firsthand sight of what I'm doing. I don't need to download it. I just need to add that person, and this person will be Claire, and I just need her to be a viewer of this information. And it's as simple as that. And so once again, it's ease. We want to be able to share, we want to be able to collaborate, but we want to make that easier. We want to bring speed to that activity. Now, what do we have here? We have these milestones. Where is it from? So once again, I'm going to go to the end to show you. So we have an action plan, and when I say it's fully loaded, that's what I mean. It's fully loaded. What are some of the key change activity that we need? So we have a plan here. We say, look, when we have a solution, and you're now ready to socialize it with a wider organization, what are some of those people-centered activities for initiation? Well, to initiate the plan, we have a set of steps that we have to take. And if we're going to do this work in a particular way, well, here are some actions that need to be completed. And so, we will recognize these things from our action plan. We need to do some descriptive work, and then we need to kind of get that signed off by a leader. And then we need to draft an elevator pitch or a lift pitch. And then we need to understand the environment, the stakeholder picture. We might need to take some early data. We might need to understand impact and legacy. We want to get a baseline, etc. And so what we took time doing is to bring this body of information and make it available here, and also make it available using project management techniques. Because often we are not the predominant discipline within an organization. There's Prince2, there's PMI, there's Six Sigma DMAIC, and there are all kinds of agile manifestations. And so what we want to be able to do is to have a plan that is easy to export and integrate into whatever is out there, whatever we're tasked to use as a change lead. And so for these sections and areas, that's what we did. We loaded up a plan with typical activities. It's the default plan, but of course you can add others. Yes, and these are fully editable boxes because you think that there's some culturally specific things that need to happen within your organization, and you can edit the ones that are there. You can add to assign these. You can assign it to someone who is actually on the platform, or you can choose to assign it to anyone who may not be on the platform. The project management kind of functionality that we've put in there allows us to filter information, to hide by due date, to view by name, to expand groups and so on, because we think these are some of the core disciplines that we need to be able to function in an integrated manner. So I just wanted to kind of get to the end of this, and then I'll come back and show you how this is built and created and so on. And of course, we might need to export this at any point in time. And so if I make my way down to the bottom here, what we've given is the ability for a user to download very quickly the activity here into what we consider to be, and what we're told is probably the most flexible, Excel. And so in Excel, and let me bring it down here so you can see what's happening here. In Excel, we have what we need here as a spreadsheet. Oops, let me bring that down. Here we go. All right, and we bring down everything, because then I have the ability to choose what I need. We bring down the stages, we bring down different steps, we bring down the tasks or actions required, dates, completion, etc., because that's what I need to know and upload at my discretion to other things that I'm using. So this is why we have created something that gives that flexibility. But where is it coming from? I have some words here I'm using: initiate, lead, engage. Where is that coming from? So I started in the dashboard, and the dashboard took me to a number of places, predominantly the action plan. But how is that created step by step? So now, I have my new practitioner, my novice practitioner. I think an experienced practitioner might just go straight to the plan, download that, and start working, because these labels may be different, but they're recognizable. Initiate could be startup, lead could be organize, engage is engage, it could be involve. These are recognizable areas. So I'm in the plan area now. I am a new practitioner, I'm new to change management, or I want to learn this approach. I want to ensure that this is a consistent approach in my organization. How do I go about doing that? We've given you some views. And so we have an overview here. If you're anything like me, I kind of want to see the whole picture. I want to see the end point often before I get started. But this is just one view, and it tells me that we're going to work in 3 areas to build plans. And these are typical. So we have a methodology that has this colorful wheel. We take snippets of the wheel and we say, okay, what is it? What is the process? What is the technique that people will follow? And then I can share with someone else. We're now at the next phase. I'd like you to think about stakeholder issues and actions in your part of the business. What is this consistent approach? This is one view. And if you look down here, these would be recognizable steps for you as change managers and leaders in your own businesses. You may call it something different, but you understand the intention. We peppered it with some typical milestones, and these are fed by a content management system. So I kept using the word a default plan. Some of our client organizations are saying, could we create our default? Because there's some other things that we would like to do, and some of that is very easy to do because we have a content management system. But there's another view. That was the overview. Here's another view, a detailed view. And so we're saying, as a new practitioner, we want to get to this quickly. And so we have created a system here that has some consistency. You can obtain information, aka the learning, and then you can go and do a piece of work. It might be, complete a form, gather data using a form, gather data using a tool with a numerical tool, build that part of the plan. Maybe you're only working on that part of the plan for 6 weeks, and then download this bit of output, because that's what I want to take to a meeting, a workshop, to have input from other people involved in my plan. So what does this look like? So this is obtain information. This is what we've done. We've said, look, you come to a workshop, you might sit with us for 3 days, and you get all of this in one go. And when you go back, we have always wanted asked for action learning sessions. No project, no entry. You come, you learn, you apply, and so when you leave, you have a plan. Well, I think the same thing applies here, but we need to make it manageable. We've created bite-sized videos for each step. So let me be clear. If I look at this overview, this is a step. And so for this step only, there is this bite-sized video, and so we have 23 of them. And these are 2-3 minute bits of information. And I've done some of those. I think this one is me. And our associates, our senior associates have just given this information the way in which you would experience them in workshops. We give little bits of this information that are relevant. We say, look, watch a video. We say, read about some of the options. Some of those, I don't know, I'm often asked, what are the tips and tricks? What are those kind of nuggets, really? Some of those bits of information you get when you're in a session with an expert that says, look, you have 3 options for doing this work. And if you want to think about which one to choose, consider this. We've peppered all those bits of information along the way here into the system. And then we say, wherever it's relevant, before you do the work, you might want to know what questions are being asked. Have you got something like this already that you're using? Maybe you don't need to do this bit of work. We want to give that option, because that's the reality, that's the craft of change management. And then at the end of it, so these pages all look the same. They have videos, some bits of reading, something around making a choice, reviewing, do I need it, don't I need it? And then we ask you to make a decision. And so I can't stress enough, it's a digital platform, but this is about helping the individual, a great change agent, a new change agent, an experienced change agent, to be impactful, to be credible, to be fast, to be dynamic with their client. And so we give you a decision. We say, plan fast, review the information, plan fast, and you have a choice. Are you ready to do the work now? Is this the right time? Maybe, I think, I might want to do the work, but I'll interview someone, or I will do it, but I think the facilitated workshop is the best option for me. Whichever you choose, if we have a recommendation, we offer it. this will determine, I'm not going to do the work now, but this will determine what is added to my plan. And so I showed you the full plan that is loaded, a default plan, but now I'm showing you bits and pieces. I've been working on this piece. I'm creating this plan. I want to make sure we're good with this bit of information. I may want to discuss this with the project manager. I already know that bits of work have been done because, you know, maybe I'm joining the process a little later. So bits and pieces have been done. That's why these are saying yes. The date picker has told me when they were done. I know who's done them. And now I'm in a position to plan the next meeting with my leader to discuss whatever I need to do. And wherever we have it, we have, you know, have you considered this? Have you considered that? Print this one, go to a meeting, all the things that you would naturally do within your change practice. Within our method, we have separated a couple of things. Our methodology is represented as a circle. The top of the circle is where, for us, a lot of the planning happens. You have a smaller group of people who are looking at key bits of information. How do we initiate? How do we lead? And how do we engage? And let's build plans for that. And then there's the question of deployment. So how do we deploy that? And so we have another set of information, which is the lower half of our approach, which says, you know, the success of deployment is very dependent on our ability to enroll local leaders, to engage them in the plan, enroll their service, their excitement, the way in which we prepare them to help their local teams connect with what we have in the plan, and whatever actions we need to put in place to sustain this as it goes through deployment. And we've separated this because it might well be that, you know, the individual who's doing planning is not the same person who can best prepare deployment actions. And so we have the same sort of structure here. We've just popped a step before, which is, you know, is my plan ready? Is my plan ready? And simple yes, no will give us a sign as to where either we need to do a bit of extra work. This is where these little warning bells come, or we need to get someone local, a local change champion, somehow to be involved in this work. And this is where we get to a point where we would share our plan. You know, I might share my plan. As I've shown you before, I want to share this. I want to send a message to someone to say, you know, look, I've given you contributor rights, but what I need you to really focus in on is how do we connect your teams? And they would come in and they would, you know, click in the area about assessing the readiness of their teams. What's the starting point of my team? And they would get access to the same sort of information because it's about consistency. And so, you know, in this area here, we say, okay, what do I need to be aware of around the readiness of my people to adapt to the change that's coming? That's what they would look at. And it could well be that we want them to add it to this plan, or we want to create a clone and let them work on that. I'll show how that works. But the same information is, the layer of information is provided here. Watch a little bit of information, read something about why this is important, how you might do this work. Look at the questions. You know, we're going to ask you 12 questions. You can ask your teams 12 questions, but maybe you have something like this that you're already using. So we give the opportunity to look at the questions. And then we say, make a choice. Do you know enough about these people? Are you ready to do the work? And so I'm ready to do the work. And so what you're starting to see here is we're going to bring some data into play. I'm going to remove this here. I brought this in earlier. So I'm ready to do the work. I want to understand risk. I want to understand readiness of my local people to do the work. So at this point, I need a tool. And what we have are 10 tools that would ask different questions about different parts of the change journey that allow you to get information, risk data, and so on. This is one such tool. I think it's probably the most popular tool that we have in the toolkit. But how do I access that? How do I use it? Well, you know, these plus signs are great. I either have a tool that I've completed or gotten information about before, or I'm going to create one. Let's see some tools that we have already here. We have a tool, you know, because we might be using these tools for different projects that we're working on. But, you know, where is our HR digitalization? Here we are. We have one. This is the information. I want all that data. I'd like to use that, please. And this is what our tool output looks like. This is the kind of stuff that you would typically in your work, you would save, you would copy to a PowerPoint because you maybe want to run a focus group to understand what some of these high risk items mean. What are the challenges? You want to talk with your leader about it. But one of the things that were really powerful for us as we were developing our tools is not only to have a way to assess risk, you know, a 1 to 5 on a Likert scale, but also to start to add the actions and tactics you would use if there is a risk in a particular dimension. And so we can see that we have risks in these 4 key areas here. Maybe anything over 50 we want to really have a look at. And you might also say that, you know what, 50 is still a bit too low as a risk. I will look at anything over 75. For example. So we put little bits of functionality in there to make it easy for us to focus. There's so many things that we can do within change management or project management. How can we focus? And this is what we have really added. We've said, you know, where there's a risk. So this is my risk area. It's about change capacity. If we think there is a tactics you might use because it's based in our experience, it's based in our research, we've heard it, we've seen it, others have told us about it, we add that to the database and we say, well, where this is a risk, here are some actions you might take. So what I want to do, I want to snag all 3 of those. I think I'd like to add that to my plan. I'm going to come back and edit them at a little later date. I think as far as the transition plan is concerned, that's fine. I have enough in there, but I have some concerns about what I'm doing around security. Whatever the risks are, we've said add to your plan. And so we start to develop our plan a little further beyond the default that was there by adding actions that are based on tool information. So, you know, we might have a default plan that stops here, add actions to plan to address assessment issues. Well, I've now added actions to plan to address some of the issues with the assessment that I took for group 1 for this HR digitalization project. And I'm able to export this. I'm able to take this and review this with the local leader. If I am the local leader, I'm able to share some of these concerns and issues with the project team. And so how do I do that? Let me kind of show how do I do that. I'm now coming up to a review. What I've done here, I've continued and it's taken me to the next stage in my process. But I'm going to just go back in here for a minute. I'm coming up to a review period, and one of the concerns that I have is this 50 average risk. And it means that, you know, some of the things that's standing in the way of my people being ready for this change are these 4 items here. And so I want to have a conversation with the project manager, the program lead. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to promote this to my dashboard. Because when I next meet, I won't just be talking about key milestones, what's done, what's finished, what do I have to do next? But what I'll be showing is a bit of data. And I want to talk about some of these high risk items because they're standing in the way of the things that are important to us locally. And so I promote this information here. And so I've worked in the plan area, I've worked in the deploy area. I know I can track. It works in the same way. I might even want to add files in here. I want to create stickiness. If I am a core change agent and I'm working with local champions in different areas, I might want to upload specific templates and documents I want them to use. We have templates and documents in here. You know, we have ways to capture information like involvement plans and reward plans and all those that typical stuff we'd be using. But you might have something that's culturally specific. And you might also, I mean, one of the important things for us is that when we're gathering data, and I think we have something like 600,000 data points. And when I say a data point, I mean we have a tool. You know, someone answers a question and they put a point of data in our database. And I'm going to show a little bit of what that gives you. But we are very careful to ensure that when people give information, that we handle it confidentially. And so unless you promote a bit of data, unless you share a bit of data, it won't automatically be visible to others unless you're working actively with them in the plan. But you could say that I'd like to show, I'd like to share, I'd like to give a bit of insight and have it available as part of this plan. And so I can show how that's done. You know, we have other tools. So we have a tool here called the Initiative Legacy Assessment. It's probably our second most popular tool that we have used here. We have a tool that's being used here where not just one person has completed it, but other people have completed it. One of the things we want to make sure is that you can send tools to others to get them to give you data themselves. And based on who comes back into the database, you can segment and differentiate whether they are a leader or a change agent or a local leader, or whether they're from Singapore or from Brazil or from, you know, and so we have a bit of data here, and I want to use this bit of information here. So I'm going to grab this one, this bit of information here. Here it is. And we know we have some data here. This is our information. We have a couple of people who've responded, and this is the spread of information. And we have different bits of views here. We have critical success factors, what are the key risks at a high level, and what are the key risks in detail. So we have information here. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to kind of review how this compares, because now I need analytics. I want to know, so what? How does this compare to what other people are doing, either in my organization or, you know, in the industry or in the database? And so I'd like to benchmark. And I'd like to benchmark maybe against all people using this tool in the database. But I'd like to get an industry average because, you know, maybe I think there's some peculiarities in my particular industry. Well, we're able to do that. And so we benchmark information by adding it to our graphs. We can add little benchmarked information by industry. We can add benchmarked information by company, whatever it is that you want to add. We can put here, we can add segments on here if we have segments, because we want to be able to kind of show how we use the database to provide important analytics for leaders to make great change decisions. And I might say, you know what, I think I'd like to add this into, here's my benchmarked information. I'd like to add this information and make it always visible as part of my plan. So here I am. I've got my information here. I have benchmarked information. So it might well be that some of these real big outliers are more important than I thought because they buck the trend. And if I look at other bits of information here we are. Yeah. And I want to save this to my plan because I want everyone to be able to see this. I think it's crucial. I think it's going to be an important metric we need to keep coming back to and updating. And it's going to explain a lot of what we have in our plan. And where does this stuff come from? You might ask. How do I use a tool? How do I get started with tool information? Well, let's just quickly look at a process here. I have a sponsor assessment, for example. And I would like to get started with one of those. I don't have any, so I'd like to create one. And what we're saying here is that, you know, everywhere you go, you should be reminded of what is important, what is the tool, where would you use it, and get learning along the way. And so the sponsor assessment I'd like to use is here. Here it is. And it is as simple as getting a new one. I want to name it. It's the HR Digitalization. It's a rollout. I'm particularly interested in what's going to happen with sponsorship in Singapore. And I have some options about how I complete it. I can ask others to complete it. I can either they're people I know. I put some email addresses in here. I don't know them. It's an open group. I just need a link and I'll add it to an email later. Or maybe I'm in a position to complete it. I want to be able to have benchmarked information. So, you know, this is a IT situation. And now let's create. And I just want to give you a view for our tools. They're 5-point Likert scale. We try to go for simple instruments, not too simplistic, I hope. You know, these dimensions and questions that I'm referring to are researched dimensions. What are the most occurring issues in this particular area around sponsorship? What are the key characteristics? And this allows me to understand where the key risks are in a number of characteristics. What is it that we need for effective sponsorship over major change? And we have some information here, once again, data and actions and tactics that I can draw into my plan. The plan that I was working on, I'm just taking you back into my plan. It's a platform of a number of different resources here, as you would find. You know, we have a diagnostics tools, some library information, academy for learning, if you wanted all your videos in one go, because I'd like to kind of, you know, use them, you know, one after the other, learn them as a series, or we're back in the planning engine. But this is my chain. This is the project I'm working on. I'm particularly working on now, and I'm ready to roll out in Singapore. I'm ready for deployment. I need to kind of start preparing for that. So what am I going to do here? I can transfer ownership, but that's not really my need. I want to maintain control for the core plan. That's important to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone it. I'm going to clone it because what I want to do is create a copy. And when I create that copy, I'm going to transfer ownership of that copy to the person who's leading the change stream in that location. That's important to me. And let me confirm that. And I've now created a clone. Now, where is it? There's this, the clone is here. There we are. The clone is here. I can still see what's happening in that area. And I think that's the sweetness for me, because I'm working as part of a global team. I'm the core change agent, built the core plan, ready to deploy in local areas, in local business areas. I would like to hold the core plan and have them make local refinements and adjustments. I'd like to be able to see that, to know if it makes any difference to the kind of timeline. But this plan belongs to Anthony, it's not mine, but I can still view it. So if I click in Anthony's plan, here I am. Anthony's the owner. This was the plan, all these things we saw. Claire is still a viewer. It's for Anthony to determine if Claire should still view, and I'm a viewer here. And I can see everything that was there before. I can see the graphical information that was there before, because I shared these things with Anthony. But what Anthony is able to do is to go in and change this from clone to, say, Singapore. And so now we're working collaboratively to build plans, to manage deployment, to make change, I guess, everybody's business. And so everyone dependent on their role has a part to play to bring their kind of influence and power to change management. And so, you know, with the right digital platform, we think we're able to help you learn what is required at the time. So this Anthony in Singapore can now go in and work through the deployment area and make any adjustments that are required in his area here. You know, we think we're able to get Anthony up and running fully loaded because Anthony already has a plan that he can start working with, you know, with ease. There's consistency around what he's doing in Singapore compared to what someone else is doing in Brazil and what someone else is doing in one other part of the country. But we're sharing, we're collaborating, different team members are involved from the get-go. We can also measure and track, because I can see this dashboard, I can see when milestones are being completed, I can see different tasks, because that's going to be powerful for me managing the core plan here. So this for us is what our intentions were when creating and investing in a digital platform. You know, we wanted to be able to work concurrently on different plans. We wanted to be able to work globally across our organization. We wanted to be able to share planning and deployment activities across different practitioners. And you know, and as we roll off, we want to be able to archive, not delete, but archive. because maybe in 3 months' time, we'll be back on an SAP implementation, and this will be a good place to start because I've done a lot of this work before. I'm just going to pause here for a moment because this is probably as much as I wanted to walk through with you before opening up for questions. So I'm just going to pause. I'm going to transfer my screen back to the slide deck and just leave it open, if I may, now for any questions that you might have.
Audra, this is Melissa. That was amazing. I'm just like sitting here in awe, like the flexibilities of this. It's just amazing. I'm just so impressed. So thank you for your time. We do have one question that's already come in. A lot of also in addition to a lot of kudos to you for walking us through this and showing us the flexibilities of this. One came in from Chris, who asked, "Are your key milestones aligned with the ACMP standard?" No. Do you know that answer? I don't know.
More or less. I mean, I think that they're not 100% there, actually, Chris. I will put my hand up. They're not 100% there. What we've tried to do is to be as as many things as we can to many people. When we're in organizations, we have people who are working to the ACMP standard. We have people who are dealing in Prince 2, in PMI, in variations of PMI and Agile. And so we have just tried to be as generic as we can. But as I said to you earlier, the engine is powered by a content management system. And so like you're asking, a number of organizations are coming to us and saying, okay, this is okay, but we do this before that, or could we adjust this? And, could we make the steps a little different? And so we're able to do that because we're running with a content management system. I think we're about 70% of the way there, Chris, to be honest, but not 100%, no.
Wonderful. So I just sent out a blast to everyone saying if you have any more questions to ask them, we have about 5 minutes remaining. Let's see here. So I think it's Stefania, by the way, if you're from Brazil, but I could be wrong. I only speak Spanish. But I guess Stefania is asking, I think it's also possible to apply it in agile project management. Am I right?
Ask me the question again.
The question is, well, here's what she says. It was a pleasure to meet you and change first in this versatile tool. I think it's also possible to apply it in agile project management.
Yes,
am I right? Agile?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it will be applied. It applies in iterations, and so there are different parts of the model that will repeat themselves through an agile process. But absolutely, we have created it with agile in mind. We see different variations of the agile process, but as you work through agile, you have the same questions to ask, but I think you just ask it often. And I would say that a digital platform lends itself very well to that, because you have to be agile, you have to work fast, you have to gather data quickly, and you need to be able to kind of bring action points to your project manager quickly and be able to kind of flex, when the mood changes, if we have new information and so on. So the short answer for Stefania is absolutely yes.
Wonderful. I see one more question. It's from Lowell. And the question is, when you clone and share a plan, does the owner of the new plan have the ability to change or modify the clone plan? Or are they limited to the plan? Okay.
No. And that was the point. When we share a plan, we as the person creating it will determine whether they get viewer or contributor rights. Contributor rights, as you might imagine, are a little concerning because, of course, I'm overtyping. We're kind of changing and you're changing and so on. And so we came up with clone, because clone has some great power in it, because I may wish to say, as the core change agent, here is the plan. The first 3 stages are set. What I want you to focus on is the deploy area. I can't stop them from changing the first 3 stages, but I might want to say that. Yes, once it's cloned, it's a copy of what I have. I still have the original, and I can still see their dashboard. So I am well aware of where, there are changes being made to the original, because I'm the one who probably needs to manage the implications of the start date and end date for my project. So they have absolute power, because they become the owner and the main contributor. And it's for them to give me whatever rights they want to give me. Yeah. Cloning is very powerful for us. Yeah.
Sorry. I have one more question that came in. This is from Matt, and the question is, I expect the tool is backed and tilted to leverage the PCI change model. So how different is this from other models with regards to using the tool, like ProSize ADCAR model, for instance?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. It is. And we are we are working with organizations who do use ProSci. They use Kotta. There's some that are easier to retrofit. What we are able to do very quickly is to create a draft, a number of defaults. If I went into the platform as a particular organization. So we have an organization, but inside that organization, they have 3 or 4 different approaches that they're using in addition to PCI. So we are able to create different draft plans that have different stages, different steps, different milestones, because we literally, pardon the pun, clone a draft plan and make the adjustment to specification. And it depends on how much movement you want. I mean, we have 6 stages and, I don't know, 20-something steps. If you wanted 8 stages, it might be different, but it might be easier if you can, if you also had 6 or 5. So the amount of configuration will differ depending on how different it is. We are one of the top 3 methodologies. So it's PCI, in no particular order, it's ProSci and it's Kotta. And so there's much similarity among those 3.
Wonderful. Time for one last question, Audra? One more?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Last one that we're going to be able to take. Having used your other platform, I am looking forward to using Roadmap Pro, as this is really flexible and dynamic. We've rolled out the use of PCI in my organization, and the challenge has been adoption in the large organization changes versus.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Okay, so how can we sell this to senior leaders and have them use it?
Yeah, well, look, I'm the author of the first platform and now the second platform. If I think about what senior leaders are asking for, maybe that might be a way to answer the question. I think senior leaders are asking for transparency. I think they're asking for data analytics. I think they're asking for rational responses to some of the challenges that they have. And so with that in mind, my response to your question would be that, if we are able to show them very quickly the actions we're taking and why we're taking it, and not have this information as magic that a few expert people understand, then I believe we get more leadership buy-in. So, our platform is role-based, and so depending on your role, you have as much or as little as you need. And so senior leaders just need a small amount of it. Our practitioners need more, local managers need more. I think it creates more stickiness because people with different roles can be on here and have transparency over what's going on. Our first iteration of this was a great planning engine, but it was difficult to uncouple the parts. So what we've done here, we've separated the parts. We have the Pro, which is the planning part with transparency around what, the view. We have the tools that are separate and so on. I think it just creates a bit more stickiness for an organization with this platform, and it's easy to add. I mean, there's some clients who like our previous iteration eChange, and they're still using it. We just add this component to the platform that they are on, and we say, this is probably the way for you to work better globally.
Exactly. Well, Audra, thank you so much for your time. We are at 1:02 Eastern Time, so thank you all for joining us, and Audra, that was tremendous. I'm in awe. So I thank you for your time and just being able to jump in lieu of David and everything that you gave on this webinar. Thank you very much. And thanks to everyone who joined us.
Yeah, thanks a lot for your time. I mean, you have my contact information there. You know, just reach out. Speak to us as individuals if there's interest as an individual. I could use this. I can add this to my playbook. Speak to us as a small team. I've got a small team. We've got a project. I think it lends itself. Speak to us as an enterprise. I mean, any and all of those things are more than welcome. Happy to take your contact.
Wonderful.
Okay.
All right, everyone, have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much.
You too.
Goodbye.
All right. Bye-bye.